All right, so this is my first YouTube video on my channel. Um, I kind of want to take this video today to explain who I am, my kind of journey, and just so in this video, shit. All right, what's going on, guys? My name is Noah. This is my new YouTube channel, and I kind of want to go in more in depth on who I am and my journey, what's gotten me to this point. I'm 23 years old as an aspiring entrepreneur, and hopefully, my kind of journey I've been on can inspire some of you guys, as well as be cool for me and as well as everyone else that might watch this to look back and see where I am right now when I'm successful in the future. So, if you guys don't know me, which I'm sure nobody does because it's a brand new YouTube channel, I don't have a following or anything. My name is Noah. I'm 23 years old. I'm an aspiring entrepreneur. I'm currently in the sales industry selling life insurance, and I wanted to document my entire journey kind of through what I'm doing with everything, which, you know, my roommate Eddie had just made a YouTube channel for his own, and it kind of inspired me to do the same thing. I've wanted to kind of document my journey for a while, and having something personal like this is definitely a fun little side activity for me to do. I always think this is fun to record videos and have this as, like I said, documentation to look back on for when I become successful. I'll be like, man, like I can't believe how far I've come and how I used to be. I think I'm going to name this series because my biggest aspiration is becoming a billionaire. So this is going to be my kind of YouTube documentation series of my journey getting there. It could be like thousands of episodes, but I will get there one day. That's what I want more than anything, is to achieve that monumental goal. So this will be episode one, essentially, that where I'm explaining everything, where I came from, my situation, and what led me to get to here, because I've kind of flipped my entire life 180, and I never thought I would be in this situation where I'm pursuing business. 5 years ago, I wasn't even thinking about business. I was thinking about playing Valorant all day. So, with that being said, I guess I can go back to where the beginning of all this started. Um, I was in the military for 4 years as an aviation rescue swimmer. And I had gotten out of the military. My last year in the military, I had gotten really hooked to video games because I was on shore duty. So that essentially means I was in a barracks, almost the same kind of thing as like a college dorm, where I had my own room to myself. I didn't really have to do much in my last year in the military, and I ended up buying a gaming computer, which was the biggest mistake I'd ever made. um, I grew up playing things like Clash of Clans on my tablet. I grew up playing Minecraft with my friends, and I had a really, really heavy video game addiction that I kind of had brought back into light getting this gaming computer. I got into shooting games, and I would just sit there and play video games all day. Um, I didn't really have a scope on what I wanted to do when I got out of the military. That was kind of my whole plan, like get out of high school, go to the military. But I had also realized a lot of goals I had didn't align with the future of that. Obviously, there's the plans people have doing 20 years and then going on a retirement plan. But something that was very important to me is my family. And I wanted to retire my mom more than anything. And I looked at all the options out there because I was going to go to college. And, all of my options out there consisted of getting a degree and then getting to a fixed income, even if it was at like a doctor level, which I considered doing like cardio surgery for a while, specifically for the income. I wasn't passionate about medicine, and I tried to sit there and pretend I was, and I realized it wasn't for me. And I did a lot of research online and looking around, and I realized that business was the only avenue that was going to be able to supply me the kind of income I wanted for the goals and dreams that I had in mind. So, first thing was that kind of got me started into everything is once I got out of the military, I was in a rut. I was really addicted to video games for the first like 6 to 8 months that I got out. I wasn't working out. I was watching, you know what? I'm not gonna say the word because I'll probably get demonetized. Um, and I was eating junk food, and I just had like every bad habit you could possibly think about. I was, watching movies all the time. I wasn't really doing anything with my life. And that's when I discovered, and huge shout out to this guy, he literally changed my life. This YouTube channel named Hamza Ahmed. And he did self improvement content. It just stumbled in my YouTube feed one day. And that got my whole life back on track. He taught me how to break bad habits, how to form good habits, what life is really about, finding a purpose, um, the importance of eating healthy and training hard and having dreams and aspirations. And through trial and error, through like the next 6 to 8 months, I got rid of my gaming computer. I quit video games. I stopped like pretty much all of those bad habits I was doing. I was consistently going to the gym, and I'd flipped my entire life around. I had been addicted to video games since I was like 7, playing Clash of Clans. And maybe it's because I have an addictive personality, or the ADHD in me, or both. But it was a huge problem for me, and it was making me not get anywhere in life, um, and just kind of going down a negative downward spiral. So, you know, so after like 6 to 8 months, I continued and continued and continued. I ended up breaking every bad habit I had. I was getting into trading. Before then, like at this point, I had started trying a bunch of business models, because something Hamza preached a lot is, if you want to make a substantial income, you have to pursue business. So the first thing I got into was affiliate marketing, which, if you're not aware what affiliate marketing is, it's essentially the business practice of taking products online and doing everything in your power to promote that product. So it could be through Amazon, it could be like a bookshelf through Amazon. And your role is essentially to make like social media content or paid content to promote those products and do everything in your sorry, do everything in your power to get those people to buy those products. So I remember for a while, mine was, I was trying to, what was it? I was trying to get people to buy a bunch of TikTok items by making TikTok videos reviewing them. So I'd get them sent in and be like, "Oh, try this, blah blah blah." And obviously, if every person I would get to buy that product, I'd get a commission on it. I tried doing that for like 2 months. I realized I sucked at it, and it wasn't the business for me. And then afterwards, I found out about copywriting. I was like, "Oh, this is easy. I just have to learn good writing skills and learn the right things to say, and I get people to buy these products. I get paid for it for promoting products for them." Another avenue I went down where I was kind of like, I don't really know how I feel about this. I don't think this was meant for me. So after 2 months, I quit that. Then I went to e-commerce, and e-commerce was really cool. It was kind of along the lines of affiliate marketing, but I love the idea of having my own business. Like, I would create my own website to kind of lead people into, and I was learning about sales funnels. Um, and I thought that was really cool. But I had tried for like hours and hours and hours, like dozens of hours of research to build the right website, figure out ways to naturally promote things. I didn't really have a following, so I was struggling to get traffic driven to my website, which is how the whole, you know, revenue comes in on e-commerce. I was trying to grow social media platforms. I was making TikTok videos. I remember with e-commerce, my goal was to have a health niche, because health wasn't a very oversaturated niche. So I would make self-improvement videos, which is another business I tried doing, which actually worked a bit. I would coach people based on what I had learned from Hamza on self improvement, and I would charge like $100 a month. And I had a couple clients doing that, where I helped flip their life around. It just wasn't a scalable when I really tried it. I tried for like 3 months, wasn't really getting anywhere with it. And it was really, really time consuming to keep following up with people. I felt like I was babysitting like 5 people at the same time. So, that didn't work out. But back to e commerce. I was trying to punch the health niche. So I had TikTok videos where I was uploading self improvement, best ways to focus, how to break bad habits, et cetera, et cetera. And I would try to use that to lead people to my store. Long story short, again, with that, didn't work out. Next thing I got into was day trading. So I had met my friend Brandon at the college I was attending, and he was telling me about trading. I had heard a little bit about it, but I wasn't really sure um, what it was in a sense. I was in the real world of Andrew Tate's like kind of course thing, and trading was a category, but I thought you had to be like really mathematically smart for it. Math wasn't my strong suit in school. So I usually avoided it because I was like, that doesn't seem like something I'd be good at. anyways, he ended up getting me into it, and I started studying a lot of online resources. Um, and I started studying a lot of online resources, and eventually that landed me into forex trading, where I met a guy that I knew from the military that was making a ton and ton of money forex trading. I'm not going to name any names because I want to keep it all private for the respect. But eventually I figured out, and I mean I could be wrong because I don't know the whole story, but it really seemed like, because I spent like 3 months always at like the student union of my college studying videos and like going to training seminars and everything. He had found very short success of making like 30, 40, $50,000 a month and moving to Dubai in 6 months of studying trading gold. And I was working so hard and I felt like I wasn't making any progress. It didn't seem like he was trying that hard to help me. And then I also found out through the program I was in, it was a multi-level marketing scheme. So in my head, I was like, okay, well, he could also just be making a lot of money off getting people into this with the promise of making money. Um, so that got me into trading. I continued to pursue trading after I left that. Um, so I jumped from him to another guy, which Eddie mentioned in his video. Um, I'll leave a link to that in the description. He goes a lot more in depth on the kind of situation, but we met another guy that did options trading, and he had the same kind of thing where he was like, hey, listen to me. I'll teach you how to make a bunch of money. And there was a bunch of people in there claiming to have made a bunch of money from him. He was flexing all these things that seemed really hard to fake, like having Lamborghinis covered in diamonds in his garage, living in a mansion, um, having like titles and like proofs of ownerships of houses of like all these other things. So we followed him for like 6 to 8 months, found out he was scummy, left that. And then for where we are now, you know, me and Eddie are currently pursuing life insurance sales. The way we got into that is there's a supercar event in Miami that we go to. By the way, Eddie's my roommate. I guess I didn't mention this. I forget this is a new YouTube channel. Um, there's a supercar event we go to every month, and we had met this guy there that was driving a G wagon. There was a crypto that one of our previous mentors told us was going to blow up, and it was on his license plate. So we were freaking out about it. I was like, dude, I gotta go up and talk to this guy. We asked him what he does and how he did it. That was kind of the same thing we said to every person there. We went to the supercar events for the whole like purpose of networking. Obviously, it was cool to see the supercars, but our goal when we would go was to go up to as many people as possible that had these extravagant lifestyles, especially young people, and just go up to and be like, "Hey, man, like, I love your car. What do you do, and how'd you do it?" And just getting perspectives. I remember there was one guy that told us he had a Lamborghini. I think it was a Huracan, and he had the little Verifone tap card things. I forgot what they're called. The thing you used to pay at a lot of stores that have like touchless pay. He was buying a bunch of them and making passive income off of it. Stuff you would like never think about and have such a cool perspective on talking to these people from. And we heard all these cool stories. We eventually met this guy with a G Wagon, and he had a couple cars, and we asked him the same thing. He was like, "Oh, I do life insurance sales." And Eddie ended up coming over to talk to him with me and was like, "Oh, I've always wanted to be into sales. Like, let's connect with this guy." And he ended up getting into life insurance first. I think I still was following trading for a while. Um, and following trading for a while. So Eddie ends up getting his life insurance license through these people. And we end up noticing, again, not going to say anything because we want to keep all this private. Um, we end up noticing the commissions are really bad and a lot of other things that don't really add up. They wanted us to sell our family's life insurance and like close friends and family, which we were like, that's weird. And the commissions were really low and they wanted us to pay for everything. And it just seemed like a big multi-level marketing scheme, like a lot of other things. So Eddie ended up going and doing his own research, DMing a bunch of people on Instagram, and he found the person that owns the agency we're with now, where they start us off on a lot higher commissions. They're, investing in leads for us starting off, and they're training us on everything. Um, so it ended up just being like a lot more ethical, a lot more reasonable community. Everyone in there is like super friendly towards each other and always willing to help. We're actually in a week, we're going, or less than a week now, like half a week, we're going to a event where some of the top traders in the country are all flying into, and they're going to give trainings. And the people in our agency are going to give us trainings personally, which we're both super excited for. And it's definitely going to help us with our progress of learning the skill of sales. So all of that stuff kind of coming together has been really cool recently. Um, so that's kind of like led up to where we are now. I've been taking dialing seriously for, I would say, about like a month now. This month has been kind of weird because we've lost our internet and a bunch of other things have just come up that have make it kind of difficult. But the last like month before that, I've been putting a lot of work into dialing, and something I struggled with before was laziness and lying. I had a lot of issues in my apartment, things I had carried over from like my life beforehand, and bad habits I had that I didn't even realize until I lived with other people outside my family that were pointing it out to me. Um, and it's taught me a lot. And I think it's made me a much stronger person, and it's made me a much stronger business person and entrepreneur working towards my stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's taught me so much. I also wanted to talk about, this isn't going to be really structured. I don't really know what I'm doing with YouTube, so I'll just kind of jump from point to point. That kind of leads into like what I want for this YouTube channel. So I've wanted to document my journey for a while, at least like especially my own, just following up with what I'm doing every day. So that way, down the road when I become successful, someone can watch these videos and be like, wow, like he's in the same situation as me. My life's not easy right now. I'm constantly working. I'm barely scraping by with like rent and a bunch of other things. And this is like my full focus, my business. And I know Eddie wants it just as bad. Like we just both want to see this work as much as possible and put all this time and effort into it. And I think the thing we're really excited about life insurance is this is the first thing where we see, if you put in the work, you are guaranteed success in this. There are so many people that have come into this business and they've just worked astronomically hard. They develop the skill and you can make money. Um, Unlike with trading, trading's like, oh, you can work really hard in it. It could happen in 2 years. It could happen in three. It could happen in four, even six. But this is like you can work really hard and in 4 months, boom, you're making 10K a month. It's very fast flipping um, into like profitability and making a bunch of money with it. So, I think it's going to be pretty soon when we start taking off with this. We're both working extremely hard towards it. There's definitely things, we need to work on. Um, but I also think I was doing accountability videos on Instagram before this. I think documenting my journey will also help kind of hold me accountable. At the end of the day, holding self accountability is the biggest thing. But I have to work hard knowing that I'm making these videos and I know I'm going to be honest in them and kind of, document everything I'm going through. If I slip up, it's going to be on the internet for the rest of my life. So let's not slip up. Anyways, yeah. So I guess what I wanted to talk about for the future of this is I'm not going to do any fancy editing or everything. This is just going to be, like I said, a documentation of my journey. I'm going to like cut little clips here and there to make it easier to watch, but I'm not going to do anything super fancy or time consuming. I would rather spend an hour that it would take to edit one of these videos to work on this. Because I know ultimately they'll be more beneficial for me, and having a documentation of my journey is the ultimate goal for this. So moving forward, like I said, I'm going to title this Journey to Becoming a Billionaire. And this could be so many episodes. I don't care how long it takes, but I'm going to upload these pretty frequently. Maybe like every couple of days, just depending on like what goes on and what I've got to talk about. And yeah, you guys can follow along the journey with me. If you have any advice to give me, 100% like leave it in the comments if you're watching this video and you have some information to give me. That would be useful. One of my friends was like telling me to read books and take notes on it. That's a big thing. But anything of value you can provide, like I'll go through and read all of them. And yeah, this is, I guess, episode one, little introduction. Um, my main content on here, like I said, is going to be posting my journey, and it's not going to be like a set upload schedule. This is going to be whenever I have time to talk about stuff. I'll sit down or wherever we're at. Maybe we can like vlog the event we go to and learning the sales training. That'd be cool. And yeah, so this is first video on my YouTube channel. Hopefully this doesn't look scuffed when I upload it, but we'll see. Peace.